Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Amma ba'du. Then yesterday we read this first paragraph, the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and we're going to continue. But before we read the explanation, I'm just going to quickly go over the statement of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab so we know that what we're explaining. He says, فَإِذَا عَرَفْتَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ خَلَقَكَ لِعِبَادَتِهِ فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْعِبَادَةَ لا تسمى عبادة إلا مع التوحيد، كما أن الصلاة لا تسمى صلاة إلا مع الطهارة. He says, so if you know, فإذا عرفت, so if you know, أن الله خلقك, that Allah created you, لعبادته, for His worship, فَعْلَمْ, then know, أَنَّ الْعِبَادَةَ, that ibadah or worship, لَا تُسَمَّ عِبَادَةً, is not called worship, إِلَّا, except, مَعَ التَّوْحِيد, except with tawheed. كَمَا أَنَّ الصَّلَاةَ, just like salat, لَا تُسَمَّ صَلَاةً, salat is not called salat, illa, except, ma'at tahara, except with purification. And then Shaykh Abdul Muhsin Hafidhullah, he says, Al-an al-Shaykh Rahimahullah, Al-an means now. Al-an means now. So you say Al-an, like now, and then he's proceeding. Or you could say, when do you want it? I want it Al-an, I want it now. Al-an. Al-an, al-Shaykh Rahimahullah, the Shaykh, may Allah have mercy upon him, Yada'u, from Wada'a Yada'u. Wada'a Yada'u, Yada'u, meaning to place, right? Al-an al-Shaykh Rahimahullah Yada'u laka, he's placing for you, laka is for you, wasa'il, wasa'il is the plural of wasila. Wasila is a means, a way. Wasa'il are means or ways. So now he's placing for you ways, meaning ways for you to understand the importance of this issue. Hatta yasilu ila natija. Hatta is until, yasilu from wasala yasilu, wasala yasilu, meaning to reach or to connect, right? Hatta yasilu ila natija. Natija is from noon ta jim. Nataja yantiju, meaning to proceed or to ensue or to bring something. Here it means the result. So he says, Al-an al-Shaykh Rahimahullah Yada'u laka wasa'il, he's placing for you means, hatta, until, yasilu illa natija, until he reaches the result or the goal. He wants you to have an understanding here. So he's going to place an example for you, basically. He's going to give you some examples to show you the importance of Tawheed and the dangers of Shirk. So he says, Al-Wasilat al-Ula, the first wasila, the first means, from Hamza, Waw, Lam, for awwal. And if it was a masculine thing, so for instance, if we said, I'm trying to think, if we had more than one sheikh, we could say a sheikh al-awwal, the first sheikh. And if we had something feminine, we would say al-ula. So al-awwal is masculine, al-ula is feminine, al-wasila is feminine due to the ta marbuta. The ta marbuta that we have here, right, shows it's feminine. So we say al-ula. We don't say al-wasilat al-awwal. We say al-wasilat al-ula because it is feminine. So al-wasilat al-ula, the first means, the first way. Laysa kullu ibadatin tasih. The first wasila, the first thing that he's using to teach you, the first means that he's using to make you understand, he says, Laysa kulli ibadat, laysa kulla. After laysa, it is mansub. Laysa is from the akhawatu inna, the sisters of inna. Inna makes the noun following it mansub. So laysa kulla ibadatin. Ibadatin is mudaf ilay. Everything that comes after kullu is mudaf ilay. So laysa kulla ibadatin tasihhu. Right? Not every ibadah. Laysa is a negation. Not every ibadah tasihhu, from sad ha. The root is sad ha, like the word sahih, meaning correct and authentic. So laysa kulla ibadatin tasih. Not every act of worship is correct. Min salatin or hajjin, right? From salat or hajj. Bel is like bala. We've seen bala in the Quran. For those who have memorized Juz Amma, we see it. Bala means rather. La bud is a phrase. It means no doubt, for sure, for definite. La bud laha. Laha, here, this ha is referring to ibadah. That's why it's feminine. Laha, for it. Min, from shurut. Shurut is the plural of shart. A shart is a condition. A condition for something being correct. Meaning if you don't have it, it's not correct. Right? You can't establish something without it. So, from the conditions of salat is tahara, as he's going to explain. Right? And every act of ibadah, la bud. Ya Hamad akhi, barakallahu feek. You have to mute yourself, inshallah ta'ala. That way you can speak up when you need to, inshallah. I'm going to open it, but please mute yourself so that we can not be interrupted, barakallahu feek. Okay, bal la bud laha, rather no doubt, for it. Laha, for it, min shurut. It has to have some conditions. Right? It has to have some conditions. For ibadah to be correct, it has to have conditions. Al-wasilat al-ula, the first condition, or the first means, the first way that he's trying to bring this home to you. ليس كل عبادة تصح. Not every ibadah is correct. من صلاة أو حج, from salat or hajj. بل لابد لها من شروط, rather no doubt. لها, for it, or it must have some conditions. وشرط كل عبادة أمران. He says, وشرط. Sharta is originally shartan, two conditions, right? But because it is mudaf ilayh, and whenever you have something, for instance, here we have shartan. Sometimes we have, for instance, muslimun, right? Whenever we put something here to make it mudaf ilayh, whether it is dual, as we have here, this alif noon here means two, right? And this un here usually means three. So if we want to say two Muslims, we say musliman, right? So this alif noon means two. This waw noon means three or more in general, right? So if we make something mudaf here, or mudaf ilayh, like the Muslims of Mecca, for instance, we would say Muslimun Mecca. But no, what we would say is Muslimu Mecca, and we would drop our noon. We drop our noon, that noon which is there for the dual and the plural there, we drop that when it becomes mudaf ilayh. So here we have, or if we would say, for instance, the two conditions of marriage. Shartan and nikah, right? There's two conditions here, right? Or two pillars actually, but anyway, just as an example, shartan and nikah, we would drop our noon and say shartan nikah. We would drop our noon, right? And that's what happened here. Was sharta, because kulli is the conditions of every ibadah are two matters. The two conditions of every act of worship is two matters. Amr is a matter or an issue. Two issues, two matters. The conditions, the two conditions for an act of worship are two. Al-Ikhlas wal-Mutaba'a. Mutaba'a. Mutaba'a. Those are the conditions. You must have sincerity, al-ikhlas, and you must have al-mutaba'a, meaning you follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَإِذَا لَمْ, fa is so. Either is if or when. Lam is a negation. Lam is a negation. Lam yatawaffiru, or here because it is lam, it becomes medzum, which we'll get to in our review of an Nahwadi, inshallah. Lam yatawaffir. Yatawaffir comes from wa fa ra, meaning to be available. So for instance, if there were some new book, a new book came out and it's in the bookstore, you would say it is mutawaffir. This book is available now, right? It's available for you. فَإِذَا لَمْ يَتَوَفِّرْ هَذَانِ الشَّرْطَانِ. If these two conditions are not available, they're not there. تُبْطِلُوا. تُبْطِلُوا جَمِيعَ الْعِبَادَاتِ. Then all of the acts of worship are cancelled. From batala. Batala. Meaning, batal, like the word batil, falsehood. they become nullified. They become canceled out. تُبْطِلُ جَمِيعَ الْعِبَادَاتِ. Then all of the acts of worship become nullified and canceled out because you are missing al-ikhlas wal-mutaba'ah. Are there any questions so far? Sisters, just type them. Brothers will have to open their mics if they have them. Okay. I'm assuming that everybody's probably in a little bit of a loud area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish reading a little bit before I let you guys read. Hopefully you guys will get to somewhere where you can open your mic and read what we've done so far. Right? He says, in kana mathalan. He's giving us another example, or he's trying to make clearer the example of the Sheikh. He says, in kana mathalan. In is if, kana is was. So we say if there was, mathalan means for example. So in kana mathalan means if there was, for example. Shakhsun. Shakhsun is a person. Shakhs is a person, kind of like insan. Shakhs is a person. Shakhsun. La yuwahidullah. He doesn't single out Allah. Yuwahidu, wahada, yuwahidu, tawheed, like this, right? La yuwahidullaha. Allah, lafzul jalala, is mansoob because it is the maf'ulun bihi, the object of the verb. A person, he doesn't single out Allah. وَيَتَصَدَّقْ. وَيَتَصَدَّقْ. But he gives charity. He gives sadaqah. La yuwahidullah wa yatasaddaq. He doesn't single out Allah, but he gives charity. La tuqbalu minhu as-sadaqa. La tuqbalu minhu as-sadaqa. His sadaqah is not accepted from him. The sadaqah is not accepted from him. La yuwahidullah. He doesn't single out Allah. وَبَارٌ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. وَبَارٌ. Here, this is from bara, like birrul walidain, righteous. But this is the fa'il here, bar. But he's righteous. He's good. Right? He's good. بِوَالِدَيْهِ. And here's another example of our noon being dropped. Walidan, right, became walidain. Why did it become walidain? Because of the bih, and we'll get to that inshallah in the nahul wali. The bih makes it majroor. This alif becomes a ya when it is majroor. And then we drop the noon because of the he. It's mudaf ilayh. It's an attached pronoun here. So bir al wali wa barun bi walidayhi. But he's righteous to his parents. La yuwahidullaha wa barun bi walidayhi. He doesn't single out Allah in worship, but he's righteous to his parents. La tasihhu minhu hadhihi al-ibada. It is not correct from him. La tasihhu. It is not correct, minhu, from him, hadhihi al-ibada, this act of worship. Why? Because he didn't single out Allah. So, mathala. Mathala is mim, tha, lam, meaning he struck an example, laka, for you. Here it's referring to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. He mathala laka bimithal. He struck an example for you. Right? Mithal is an example. Mathala, he struck or he made an example, laka, for you. Bimithal, with an example. In English, we wouldn't say that twice, right? But here it's a verb. Mathala, mithal. Right? he struck or he made an example. In English, we would just say it once, but in Arabic, it's a verb and a noun there. Mathala laka bimithal. He gave an example for you with the example of salat. Of salat. Laysa kulla man yusalli. And it should be a fatha. Laysa kulla man yusalli. Not everyone who prays. Men. Laysa kulla. Not everyone. Laysa every. Kulla is every. Men is who yusalli. Not everyone who prays. Tasihhu salatahu. His salat is correct. Not everyone who prays, his salat is correct. Illa bittahara. Except with purification. فَكَذَلِكَ الْعِبَادَةِ. Fa is so or therefore. Kadhalika is likewise. Kadhalika is like ka. This ka is a ka of tashbih, meaning like. So like that, you could say, because dhalika means that. You could say kadhalika, like that, but likewise. فَكَذَلِكَ, so likewise, al-ibadah, an act of worship or worship, la tasihhu, it's not correct, illa ma'a tawheed, except with tawheed. Are there any questions? Now it's time for y'all to Abdullah. I doubt it. I don't know what that means. Maybe you're not going to be able to pull over and read. I don't know. If no one's free, then I'll read it again with the explanation just for help. Just because when Abdullah reads it, it helps Hamad. And when Hamad reads it, it helps Abdullah. When Ahmad and Abdullah read it, it helps Abu Tahir. When those three read it, it helps Amir. And it helps Huda and Hajar and Safa and so on and so forth, right? So every time we read it, it helps us. So if you guys aren't free, I'll read it again, right? I'll read it again to help those, especially those who may be listening to the audio later. I could have Hadas read it for us. But he's complaining there's no vowels. Inshallah. So the Sheikh, he says, Al-an al-Sheikh, rahimahullah, yada'u laka wasa'il. Now the Sheikh, may Allah have mercy upon him, is placing for you means. Hatta yasilu ila natijatin. Until he reaches the point or the result, the goal. Al-wasilat al-ula. The first means laysa kulla ibadatin tasihhu. Not every act of ibadah is correct. Min salatin or hajjin. From salat or hajj. Bal la bud. Rather, no doubt. Laha min shurut. For it, from conditions. Meaning from it there are some conditions. For it, there are some conditions. وَشَرْطَا كُلِّ عِبَادَةٍ أَمْران. And the two conditions for every ibadah, for every act of worship, is two affairs, two issues. Al-ikhlasu wal-mutaba'a. Sincerity and following, meaning the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَإِذَا لَمْ يَتَوَفِّرْ هَذَانِ الشَّرْطَانِ. So if these two conditions are not available, تُبْتِلُ جَمِيعَ الْعِبَادَاتِ. Then all of the acts of worship are nullified and wiped out. إِنْ كَانَ مَثَلًا. If there was, or it was, for example, شخص, a person, لا يوحد الله ويتصدق. He doesn't single out Allah, but he gives charity or sadaqah. لا تقبل منه الصدقة. then his sadaqah is not accepted from him. لا يوحد الله وبار بوالديه. He doesn't single out Allah, and he's righteous to his parents. لا تصح منه هذه العبادة. It is not correct from him, this act of worship. مثل لك بمثال. The Shaykh, he gave an example, he struck an example for you. الصلاة. The salat, the prayer. ليس كل من يصلي. Not everyone who prays. تصح صلاته. That his salat is correct. إلا بالطهارة. Except if he has tahara. فكذلك. So likewise, al-ibadah, the acts of worship, لا تصح, they're not correct, إلا مع التوحيد. They're not correct except with tawheed. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he says, completing this thought, فإذا دخل الشرك في العبادة فسدت. He says, explaining that, فإذا, so if or when, دخل الشرك, shirku has a dhamma because it's the fa'il, it's the thing that's doing the dakhala, the entering. So if shirk enters, fil ibadati, ibadati after the fi, harf jar, preposition, makes the noun after it majroor. فَإِذَا دَخَلَ الشِّرْكُ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ. So if shirk enters into ibadah, fasadat. Fasadat. Fasadat is like batalat, right? Fasadat from fa, sin, dal, from the word fasad, right? Fasad, we find this in the Quran. Fasad, yufsidun, and like this, meaning to become spoiled and corrupted. So, فَإِذَا دَخَلَ الشِّرْكُ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ. So if shirk enters into ibadah, into acts of worship, fasadat. It's feminine, fasadat. It's a feminine noun, singular feminine. Why? Because ibadah. Then the ibadah is corrupted and spoiled. If shirk enters, إِذَا دَخَلَ الشِّرْكُ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ. If shirk enters into ibadah, fasadat. It's spoiled, it's ruined. Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Qasim, he says, Allah yahfaduhu, he says, al-an, which means now. We just said that. Now, meaning kind of like here, because he's talking about the Sheikh just said, right? Qarrara laka. Qarrara is from qaf ra. Form 3, qarrara. Meaning to repeat or to agree with, like this. So it has to do with a repetition and repeating. Qarrara laka. He is repeating for you. He's confirming and affirming, like this, right? You repeat something, you agree. It's like an affirmation or confirmation. Qarrara laka. He is confirming for you, affirming for you. An al-ibadata. Ibadah is mansub after anna. We said after an and anna, the verb and the noun become mansub. So he says al-an, now, qarrara laka. He is confirming for you. And al-ibadata, that ibadah, acts of worship, la tasihhu, they are not correct, illa bit-tawheed, except with tawheed. Aksu هذه المسألة. The opposite of this issue, aks, from ayn, kaf, sin, means the opposite, the reverse of it, like this, right? هذه المسألة, this issue. Mas'ala is from the root sa'ala, which we know to be to ask something. Sa'ala yas'alu is to ask. A mas'ala is an issue, which means you have to ask about it, right? I have a mas'ala. I have an issue I need help with. I got a question about it, right? So, aks هذه المسألة, the opposite of this issue, لو حدث في العبادة shirk, right? The opposite, right? The first one, what he just says, worship is not correct except with tawheed. The opposite of that is low, which means if. Low is if. Hadatha, like from the word hadith, meaning something happened. So the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ are about what happened during his lifetime. Lo hadatha fil ibadah. If there happened in ibadah shirk, tufsid or tafsudu, it becomes corrupted. So the first sentence was ibadah is not correct except with tawheed. The opposite of that, not the opposite like I want to contradict it, but the opposite face of that, if you want to look at it from another direction of this issue, if shirk enters into ibadah, tafsudu, it's corrupted. فَكَأَنَّهُ يَقُولُ لَكَ. This kaf is a mistake. It should just say يَقُولُ. فَكَأَنَّهُ يَقُولُ. That's just a typo. فَكَأَنَّهُ. So it's as if. كَأَنَّهُ is as if he. So it's as if he يَقُولُ لَكَ. He's saying to you. مَعْقُول, from the root Ain, Qaf, Lam. Ma'qul. Aqil or aql is the intellect. When something is ma'qul, it's understood. You can see that it would happen. If something is, what do you say? It's understandable. That's not impossible. It's understandable. Ma'qul. It's understandable. It's possible. And the shakhsa, that a person, yatasaddaq, he gives sadaqah, be with malayin. Malayin is billions, right? No, millions. I'm sorry, millions. Malayar with a ra would be billions. So malayin is billions. Malayin, I'm sorry, is millions. I said it again. Malayin. يتصدق بملايين. شيخ آسف. 1 second brothers. هذا الأب لا ليس هذا. اسأل هذا الثاني. نعم هذا أفضل. لا يشتغل؟ استخدم الثاني. هذا أفضل. آسف يا أخوان وأخوات. So, معقول, it's possible, it's understandable. And الشخص, that a person, يتصدق بملايين, he gives charity with millions. فإذا ذبح, and so if ذبح, he slaughters لغير الله, for other than Allah. Li is for, غيري, other than Allah, like La ilaha ghayruk, other than you, right? Li ghayrillah. If he slaughters for other than Allah, يتصدق بملايين, he gave charity with millions. فإذا ذبح لغير الله, and then if he slaughters for other than Allah, bishat, with a sheep. A shat is a sheep. بخمسمية ريال. B here means with. خمسمية. Khams is 5. Mia is 100. With 500 riyal. So he gave millions away in charity. millions. And then only 500 he slaughtered for other than Allah. جميع أعماله تبتل. He's asking a question. جميع, all, like the جميع and kullu are similar. جميع أعماله, all of his actions. أعمال is the plural of amal. أعمال is the plural of amal. Actions. أعماله, his actions. جميع أعماله تبتل. All of his actions are nullified, are made batil. He's asking a question. Then he says, نقول نعم. نقول, one second, pull it down. نقول نعم. We say yes. نعم is yes. نقول, we say. We say yes. Then he says, أنا أمثل لك. I'm going to give an example for you. أمثل. I'm going to give an example. لك, for you. مثل. Or مثل. مثل. That's better. مثل. Like. الصلاة. الصلاة. لو دخل فيها الحدث. Hadith, when we're talking about purification, is any type of impurity that enters in. Passing gas, urine, whatever comes from the two private parts, right? Or sleep, or those, not sleep. Yeah, sleep is one of them, yes. Becoming unconscious. Any of those things which nullify salat. Some of them are big, some of them are small, some of them require wudu, some of them require ghusl, right? This is called hadith. Hadith al-akbar and hadith al-asghar. The big and the small, major and minor impurities. So hadath here means impurity. Lo dakhala fiha, and ha is here because of a salat. Salat is feminine. A salat. Lo dakhala fiha al hadath. If hadath, impurity, entered into it, tubtil, then it is nullified. It's made batil. Lo qama shakhsun. If a person stood, qama. Qama yaqumu, to stand. Yusalli, praying. Sa'a kamila. Sa'atan kamilatan. He's praying an entire hour. A complete, whole hour. Wa ahdatha. And he does this impurity. He does some type of impurity. Low, even, or if, birihin yasiratin, with rih, be here is with, rih is wind, rih is wind, yasiratin, light, even with a small passing of wind. He prayed a whole hour, and all he did was just a little bitty passing of wind. Tubtilu salatu jami'uha. All of the salat is nullified. Not just that little part. He prayed a whole hour, and then he passed gas just a little bit. Even that whole hour is wiped out. Even everything before it is wiped out. وَمَثَلَ الشَّيْخ, and the Shaykh gave the example, فِي غَيْرِ هَذَا الْمَوْضِعِ, in other, as we said, fi is in, غَيْر is other, هذا الموضع, موضع, as we said, from wada'a yada'u is to place, in other than this place, meaning other than this book. قال, he said, لو أن نقطة, no, لو أن نقطة البول, even if a nukta, from noon, qaf, ta, which means a drop, right? Just a drop. Nukta is a drop, like a dot. Like when you find these dots, these two dots above this circle make it a qaf. This one dot above this little line makes it a noon. This is a nukta. One drop, one dot of bowl. Bowl is urine. Kharajat. One drop of urine came out. خرجت. وأنت تصلي, and you're praying. بطلت الصلاة. The salah became باطل. كذلك, he said, the Sheikh, he said that in another place. Then he says, كذلك, likewise, لو وقع, وقع يقع, meaning to take place or to fall. لو وقع الشرك, لو وقع الشرك, and if shirk fell into, وقع يقع is to fall, right? لو وقع الشرك في العبادة, and if shirk falls into ibadah, acts of worship, تفسد, it is made, spoiled, and corrupted. Are there any questions? Akhi Bilal, I would say to you, Akhi, get a headset so that way I can open your mic. If you have a headset already with a good earphone so that the sound isn't reverberating back into your speakers and then we're hearing the echo, then I can open your mic and you can talk. Because it's kind of hard just to kind of like teach to myself and no one's saying anything. Go ahead, Hamad, if you have something.
نعم. الآن الشيخ رحمه الله يدع لك وسائل حتى يصل إلى نتيجة الوسيلة أولى. ليس كل عبادة تصح من صلاة أو حج، بل لا بد لها من شروط، وشرط كل عبادة وشرط كل عبادة أمرا الإخلاص والمتابعة، فإذا لم يتوافر هذان الشرطان تبطل جميع العبادات. إن كان مثلا شخص لا يوحد الله ويتصدق، لا تقبل منه صدقة. لا توحد الله لا يوحد الله وبر بولديه، لا تصح منه هذه عبادة. مثلا لك بمثل الصلاة، ليس كل من يصلي تصح صلاته إلا بطهارة، فكذلك العبادة لا تصح إلا مع التوحيد. فإذا دخل الشرك في عبادتي فسدت. الآن قرار لك أن عبادة لا تصح إلا بالتوحيد. عكس هذه مسألة لو حدث في عبادة نعم، هذه مسألة لو حدث في مسألة.
نعم، لو حدث
هذه مسألة.
نعم،
لو حدث في عبادة شرك، فكأنه يقول لك ما قل أن شخص يتصدق بملايين.
نعم.
فإذا ذبح لغير الله بشاء، ب500 ريال. جميعا أعماله تبطل. نقول نعم، أنا أمثل لك مثل الصلاة لو دخل فيها الحدث تبطل. لو لقام شخص يصلي ساعة كلمة وأحدث لو بريح يسيرة تبطل صلاة جميعها. ومثل شيخ في غير هذا الموضع قال لو أن تقطة بول خرجت وأنت تصلي بطلت صلاة. كذلك لو وقع الشرك في العبادة تفسد.
Naam. Abdullah, you had a question or you want to read? I'm turning on your mic, Bilal. Give me a second. It's trying to work. Amir. And this is for everybody, but I just had to mute you, brother Amir. I'm not trying to pick on you like you told me the other day at the Eid. But we have to when we're there, and I know it's a little bit difficult sometimes. We're at home, we got stuff to do at work, but we have to be a little bit courteous of others in the classroom with the extra noise we're making with chips bags and all this type of stuff, beating and pounding on stuff, because everybody hears it and it makes it hard for us to concentrate. Inshallah, at least for me, I'm getting to be old. You saw all the gray in my beard, so let's try, inshallah, to be quiet.
Beginning?
You want the beginning up there?
No, I said beginning to get old.
Yeah, I'm beginning to get old man.
Yeah.
I'm about 10 years younger than you, so I'm just starting. You reading or you got a question?
No, I'll just turn it on if I can answer.
Okay, so you're still driving or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't hear no background?
No, not really. Nope. Abdullah's a truck driver. He's got one of them good Blue Parrot headsets, man. It cancels out all the noise in the background. I advise everybody to get one of those, even though they're a little bit expensive and they make you look a little bit crazy. That's all right. You look like a telephone operator, but that's all right. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, he says, Kal hadath idha dakhala fit tahara. He gives an example. He says, like al hadath, like impurity, if it entered into purification. The Sheikh, he said, lidhalika tufsidu at-tahara. And so due to that, it nullifies, it wipes out, it spoils the purification. فَإِذَا عَرَفْتَ أَنَ الشِّرْكَ إِذَا خَالَتَ. And so if you know, or if you knew, that shirk, either when or if, khalata, from kha lam ta, meaning to mix. So when you have mixing between men and women, it's called ikhtilat. If you buy some good oil, it's called mukhtalat. Like sometimes mukhtalat al-tayba, mukhtalat al-imrati, mukhtalat hada, meaning it's mixed. Khalit أن الشرك فإذا عرفت أن الشرك إذا خالت العبادة أفسدها. If you know that shirk, if it mixes with ibadah, it corrupts it, it spoils it. وأحبط العمل. وأحبط from habata, meaning to make null and void, as if it never took place. To make it like it not. See, afsada means it's spoiled. When you have meat, it gets spoiled. You have food, it gets spoiled, it gets rotten, you know, like this. Ahbata is when Allah takes like a mountain and makes it into small particles of dust, like it never ever existed. فَإِذَا أَرَفْتَ, so if you know, أَنَ الشِّرْكَ, that shirk, إِذَا خَالَتَ الْعِبَادَةَ, that if it mixes with ibadah, أَفْسَدَهَا, it spoils it, وَأَحْبَتَ الْعَمَلَ, and it wipes out all the deeds, وَصَارَ صَاحِبَهُ, and its companion, sahib, its companion, who here is referring to shirk, sahibuhu, its companion, sara, becomes or became, min al-khalidina finnar, from those, from min al-khalidina, from kha lam dal, meaning to be forever. Khalid is forever, right? Al-khalidina, from those who are forever finnar, in the hellfire. فَإِذَا أَرَفْتَ, so if you know, أَنَّ الشِّرْكَ, that shirk, إِذَا خَالَتَ الْعِبَادَةَ, that if it mixes with ibadah, أَفْسَدَهَا, it spoils it, corrupts it, وَأَحْبَتَ الْعَمَلَ, and it wipes out the action, وَصَارَ صَاحِبُهُ مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ فِي النَّارِ, and if you, and its companion, the companion of shirk becomes from one of those who is forever in the hellfire. The Shaykh, he says, Huna and natija. Huna and natija. Here's the result. Before we had some ways. Before you had salat without tahara. Before you had ibadah but without tawheed. Right? Now here's the natija. Here's the result. This is gonna spoil your deed, spoil your act of ibadah, make all of your deeds null and void, and make you from a companion of the fire. فَإِذَا أَرَفْتَ, he says, answering, أَرَفْتَ, then you know, أَرَفْتَ, you know. So if you know up here, فَإِذَا أَرَفْتَ, and then all that what we just said, Arafta, then you know, anna, ahamma, that the most important thing, aham, from ha, mean, to be something important and concerning. Aham is like kabir and akbar, right? Meaning superlative, ism tafdil, the most important thing, ma alayka, of what is upon you, ma'rifatu dhalik, is knowing that, being aware of that. Now that you know that if shirk mixes with ibadah and then it spoils it and wipes out all the deeds and makes its companion forever in the hellfire, then you know the most important thing upon you, and that is being aware of that. Being aware of that. The Shaykh, he says, يجب أن تعرف التوحيد. يجب أن تعرف التوحيد. It's obligatory that you know, and ta'rifa, that you know التوحيد, that you know tawheed. وتعرف هذه, and that you know this. We're talking about this aspect of shirk. Yajibu and ta'rif at-tawheed. It's obligatory upon you to know tawheed and to know this. Mada yajibu ma'rifatu dhalik. What yajibu, basically what is making it obligatory alayya, upon me, ma'rifatu dhalik, to know that. Why is it, basically, what is the reason that it's obligatory upon me to know that? لأنه خطير. يجب, go back real quick, it's from وجب يجب, like the word wajib, wujub, obligation, right? So ماذا يجب علي معرفة ذلك? What is obligatory upon me that I know that? Why is it obligatory upon me? What's the reason for that? لأنه, because it is خطير. It is dangerous. خطر. It's dangerous. يفسد العمل. It spoils the actions. مثل النجاسة. Like najasa, like impure things, meaning bowl, urine, ga'it, defecation, right? Menstrual blood, all of these things. Tufsidu salat. They spoil the salat. لذلك قال. So due to that, he said, Arrafta, you know, anna ahamma ma alayka, that the most important thing upon you, ma'rifatu dhalik, is knowledge of that, knowing that. Al-amru khatir, the affair, the issue is dangerous. It's a dangerous affair. Wa huwa shirk, and it is shirk. Wa tahaddurihi, and li here is so. Tahaddurihi, you stay away from it, you avoid it. From hadara, to avoid and stay away from something. Li tahadduruhu, so that you can stay away from it. Any questions? Inshallah. There's no class tomorrow, brothers and sisters. No class tomorrow. No class tomorrow. There's class Friday night, inshallah. Friday night, I suggest everyone have them a good headset. And if possible, if at all possible, be sitting down with a book, with the PDF, writing notes like this, as much as possible. Tell the kids, go sit down somewhere, or sit down right here and listen, like this. Let's try, inshallah, to participate. It's going to make the class better for you and for me. Jazakumullah khairan. I'll see you, brothers and sisters, Friday night. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.